up everyone, True here, and if you haven't watched Kamen Rider Ryuki yet, it is currently up on YouTube, the entire series, along with Kuga and Gi. It's on like YouTube TV or whatever. So if you're interested in Kamen Rider, because you've seen my videos, or you haven't seen these seasons, whatever the case, go check it out, support the official releases, because I want more. Anyway, what up everyone? Today I am redesigning Kamen Rider Ryuki, and it's 13 riders, not all of them. But like past videos in this little series of mine, I'll be taking some Kamen Rider forms, redesigning them to make them, I don't know, look better in some ways, maybe make new forms, you'll see. I got 5 for you today, like usual, and there's some pretty good ones. First up, I want to open with Kamen Rider Ryuga. Now, Ryuga is Mirror World's Ryuki. Mirror World's a big part of this series, of course, and it's supposed to be the reverse of Ryuki. So it has this muted color palette compared to the bright colors of Ryuki. And it's just this black suit. It's very menacing, very powerful. But as much as I love the suit, I just, honestly, if they did the simplest thing of taking the drag visor and putting it on the other arm, 10 out of 10, with no complaints. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. On top of that, I wanted to add a couple more changes to make it stand out more instead of being a color-swapped Ryuki. Again, it's a beautiful color swap, but like, there could be more. I, of course, worked off of the just base Ryuga suit, and here is my version of Ryuga. For one, drag visor on the other arm. It just, mirror. You gotta mirror it. Secondly, I decided instead of having this like gold outlining, everything was now just this muted silvers, grays. It's just dark. So it really was just a bit of color swapping. The suit overall, I didn't want to ruin the silhouette because it's Ryuki. It's a big plot point that this looks like Ryuki. It's very thematic, so I don't want to take that away. It looks very much like Ryuki, and it still has its own presence as Ryuga. And the drag visor, of course, just on the other arm. Slight change, but that's fine. But I did add one additional detail because I think it would be so sick. On the chest, you'll see on the chest plate itself, there's this cracked, like, shattered look. Now, breaking mirrors is a very common thing that happens here at Ryuki. And being from the mirror world, the idea that this is just a broken character. This character just broken mentally. Broken because it's not, it's not Ryuki. It's not Kido. That right there, plus that's where, like, the heart is. Like, everything is shattered. It's broken like glass. So thematic. And does it make the suit 20 times more raw? Absolutely. Now we're gonna jump ahead just a long time. So Kamen Rider Outsiders has insane characters and abilities and forms that we've been wanting to see. One of them is Ouja Survive. Now I like Ouja Survive. I want to make that very clear. I like Ouja Survive. I don't really have a problem with the suit. It is a lot of gold, and I felt like the other Survive forms didn't have as much gold. I felt like gold was still an accent. Gold feels like the prominent color, and I was like, kind of like, eh. Secondly, the weapon. My god, I understand it's a Kipash retool, and it was made like 20 years after the show, but why did they have to just take Ryuki's weapon? They took Ryuki's weapon when he goes into Survive form, remolded it slightly, called it for Ouja, and like, I don't like it. I wish he had something unique that fit his character. So put the gold one on the left. The image itself, the colors are a bit weird because the lighting. The suit itself is a bit more purple, and I did color it. You'll see when I put up my new one, a bit more purple, but the actual suit itself is purple. It's just the lighting of the one image you're seeing wasn't the best. So here's the old one, and here's my current one. Again, I left most of it intact. I did add less gold to the chest. It's more purple now. It's a lot more purple. The main gold bit is now just purple instead. The eyes, I slimmed down those little red eyes, so now it's more menacing, and it actually looks like his actual monster now. Again, I just wanted to have more purple pop because, again, it felt like too much gold. So more purple. It creates that snake effect still. Looks really good. And the other thing was the helmet. The helmet I felt protruded a little too much. It just felt a little too long. And a lot of people have that complaint with Ryuki Survive, but I think that one actually works good because of the shape of it. Ouja just felt like 2 bricks slapped to the sides. So I just curved them. To make a Cobra-like shape. And it looks so much better in my opinion, having that more curved silhouette for the head. And again, the eyes still work, and obviously, it's menacing. Like, you know, the whole suit itself is still menacing. It works for Ouja. But overall, it's very samey compared to the original. Again, I didn't change that much, because I do like the suit itself. I just wish there was more purple. Now, on top of Ouja Survive, his weapon itself, again, I hate that they just retooled the one for Ryuki. His original staff that he used to actually, like, use cards, I think was phenomenal. And for crying out loud, you could have turned that into a scythe, and it would have been so sick. You could have just made it a scythe. All you had to do. So, I had to find a good scythe, and while it's hard finding Kamen Rider scythes, I decided to go with the Jikan de Spear from Kamen Rider Was. Has a little cobra head, it's perfect. I mean, they definitely could have done something more crazy. The card slot just kind of slapped on. It's a very rough done job to make a new weapon, but a scythe makes so much more sense than just whatever Ryuki had. Plus, he's such a violent dude. Give him a menacing weapon, alright? Give him something to kill with. That's a puny little pistol with a blade at the tip, alright? That's nothing. Ouja would not use such a weapon. I mean, he does, but like, he would use something cooler. Okay, those are the only two redesigns I have for you today. Again, so hard to find Ryuki suits and have like actual complaints about. I really do love all of them. But I did have some creative liberty and fun with these next few. For one, Ryuki is one of the few riders that only had one form. Besides his base form, he had one form that survived. Survive itself is a suit. Not really my favorite, not really my least favorite final form. But it definitely could be better. Ryuki never had a stronger form. That was it. It was Survive. All the characters could have used a Survive card and became a Survive version of themselves. That's it. It's all the Ryuki riders had in terms of power-ups. But with how much content Ryuki received after his show proper, I'm surprised they never gave him an extra form, like a third form, a final form that isn't Survive. So I decided to take the original Ryuki suit and Survive, use both of their assets, and try creating a new form. A new, roided up Ryuki. But the whole conflict was kind of, they don't have another form, you know? I could just say he has all the Survive cards or something. That's kind of lame, my opinion. I instead opted for something past Survive. If this is a fight to the death, and you have the card that allows you to survive, what if you had a card that allowed you to live past death? Granted you a rebirth. Kamen Rider Ryuki Rebirth. Using the original Ryuki suit as a basis, I attached all the Survive kind of armor bits, mainly the chest plate and the leg armor, which I did modify a bit to make it a bit more cool. And all of the arm bits of the original suit I clicked gold. I wanted this to focus on the gold because that seemed like the more gold, the more strong a character seemed to be in Ryuki. And on the Survive torso, I did put little eyes because I like to think this isn't just remaking Ryuki, it's remaking Dragetter into something more. This is not just a combination of Ryuki and his Survive form, it's a combination of the Kamen Rider and the Contract Monster. Within this form, Ryuki has access to all of his powers and everything Dragetter can do. So flight, the shooting fire, I guess he could turn into a bike, we don't need to talk about that. But on top of that, he could now stack the cards. And using his drag visor, he could spam guard vent and create as many guards as he wants. He could use advent and summon thousands of drag getters. That is what this thing does. That is how stupid this form is, and I think that's fun. I also, for the suit, I did add a bit more gold lining. The Ryuki suit itself, if you look at just all the suits, the undersuits have so many extra lines, so I painted a few just the gold, yellowish, and I think it really stands out, having that extra detailing, especially since they don't have leg armor proper, so it just stands out more having those details. I painted the belts. Survive went red, the base was black. I think this one just being like a gold on gold, just showing off the true color and what this form represents, I think works good. The helmet is Survive's. I did give it a gold gradient across it, so instead of the silver lines, it has gold, fades into a bit of the silver, so again, it shows that evolution. Overall, I tried keeping this very samey with the rest of the Ryuki style. I didn't want to do something crazy. and try making like a new Ryuki, because again, I want to keep it as if this was made with like back in the original show, you know, like it was made with that stuff in mind. The only creative liberty I took was a cape. I gave a very disjointed cape in the back. I kind of got inspiration from Knight, because Knight has a cape with his guard vent and then survive. I think Ryuki, being as strong as possible, would get a cape then as well, because Ryuki does don the Knight armor in one timeline. But overall, I think this is a really good suit. I really like Ryuki Rebirth. My one gripe with Survive, and it's not even an issue of Survive, because the armor itself has a lot more red, but the black undersuit. A lot of the Kamen Riders in Ryuki, basically all of them have a black undersuit, except Ryuki and Zolda. Knight doesn't have a black suit, but it's a dark blue that borders on black, so the rest, yeah, it's all black undersuit. And Survive having one is fine, but when everyone else in the cast has one, it kind of feels lame. Next up, I want to jump to a season that is far into the future. Kamen Rider Saber. This is a show I actually have watched in full, unlike Ryuki. Within Saber, his first power-up is Dragonic Knight. And for those who don't know, Ryuki, which became adapted in the West as Dragon Knight, and Ryuki, you know, is a Dragonic Rider, this form is, my god, the reference. You can't, and I mean you can't tell me this isn't based off Ryuki. The Dragonic Booster? Hello, it reads the books. You slotted it in, it's a different way of slotting in. So what if Dragonic Knight was retroactively fit into the Ryuki style? I know that's a bit over the top and complicated, but when this form is screaming Ryuki, it made sense to put it in Ryuki. I don't know what else to say. So I'll put the original Dragonic Knight, which obviously the Saber aesthetic is so far different from Ryuki, so it was such a challenge, but I did try my best to make it work. But here's the original Dragonic Knight. Again, very beautiful suit. I really like it. But what I did was I kind of took the armor bits, took Ryuki, smashed them together, and I grant you Kamen Rider Saber and the Ryuki style. So this new Dragonic Knight has the Ryuki underbody but painted black. I did previously mention most of the Ryuki riders had a black undersuit. This suit also had a black undersuit. It was just covered in silver bits because the suit had a ton of armor. So I kind of stripped those bits away and is now just this pure black undersuit. And the only armor bits from the original suit remaining are the entire chest assembly, the head and helmet, and then the hands and the wrist. I removed everything else because Ryuki riders don't have that much armor. There was too much armor for Ryuki. Also, all the legs of Ryuki riders are very similar. They have the same like shapes. So I did take that and I did just color match it to make it fit with all of Dragonic Saber's colors. And lastly was the belt. I decided to go with a red for Saber because, well, silver would have looked good. Saber is represented with a red, so I wanted that to be the color of the Advent deck. And all the Kamen Riders, with the exception of Ryuga, have a gold emblem. So I had to paint that gold. Overall, very simple. It was a lot of kind of putting the pieces in right spots, but I really do love this. Dragonic Knight, again, such a phenomenal suit. You really can't go wrong editing it. But that's not all. Obviously, Kamen Rider Ryuki, they have Advent decks, and their decks include 5 cards. One of them is a contract monster, one of them is their finisher, and then a strike vent, which is an animal part, or well, a part of their monster, sword vent, which is a sword, guard vent, a shield of some kind. They're a little loose on guard vent, I'm not gonna lie. And I gave Saber an entire Advent deck because why not? For one, I'm not even gonna bother trying to create a new contract monster. Here's the dragon that Saber would summon that represent his book. After I go through all the weapons and stuff, if you guys want to do like your own fan art, have fun with it, try creating it in the Ryuki style, maybe use the pieces, toy form, whatever, I don't know, have fun. And sword vent, I'm legally obligated to give him his sword. Like, there's not much else to say. He has his sword. I did paint the emblem like a silver instead of the gold. I just thought it would match better with his suit, but now I'm realizing I could have just left it gold anyway. Guard vent, I gave him his shield from his summer movie. While it was strapped to the suit, it could be removed, and then I replaced all the gold again with a white. Lastly, for strike vent, I got very creative. I took the hand from Primitive Dragon, which is attached to the suit directly and would come out. So in fight scenes, he could either have it reattached to the chest or something, and then it would come out to attack, or he could just get a giant claw hand. Either way would be cool, and each thing represents a different form of Saber. They're all parts of his series, so I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy with the Advent deck as a whole. Very happy with Dragonic Knight, Kamen Rider, Saber, Ryuki. I genuinely don't know what to call this thing. Now for our final one, Gio. Obviously, if you haven't seen all my other videos in this series, for all the Heisei Riders, I give them powers for Gio since he took all their powers. So what if they took them back and gained some new stuff? For the early Heisei Riders, of course, they did not have Legend Rider gimmicks, so I had to make up new things. Now, the whole gimmick you'd think would be maybe a new card, but it seems weird giving Ryuki new cards, because they're tied to the decks. So, I gave him a new deck. Here is the Gio Advent deck. Rather than transforming Ryuki, this deck, which could be put into the belt for storage or whatever, just gives Ryuki new cards. It is not an actual form change, it is more just an ability swap. But just like for Saber, I did give Gio an entire Advent deck. For one, his contract monster will be the Time Machine. This thing is a hulking CGI behemoth that Gio pilots. We could just say it's sentient for the sake of why not? Now, for Sword Vent, you'd think I'd give Gio's standard sword. Wrong. I decided to opt for the superior Saber. This is from Gio's Decade form, and well, some of you could make the argument you shouldn't really be using this one. I think it works a lot better because it's representing more of Gio. On top of that, we could just say this specific Saber is only locked to using Ryuki and can't use all of the other Kamen Rider powers. For Strike Vent, I did take very creative liberty. Strike Vent also is weird since it's part of the body of their monsters. Gio, while I could take a piece of it and give it to Ryuki, I had a much cooler idea. For Strike Vent, it'll give Ryuki access to one of the ride watches from a character in his cast. He could get the Ryuki Ride Watch Knight, Zolda, whatever the case. Then, attach that to the Saber, he can get their powers! He would have full access to the entire arsenal of his season, thanks to being able to summon the various ride watches. And it works because the face of the Time Machine is a ride watch. And it's a swappable ride watch at that, so I very much could work that it's just shooting out extra ride watches. So that's my idea. For Guard Vent, this is a terrible, just morally terrible idea. For Guard Vent, Ryuki would just summon alternate riders, could be, again, Ryuki riders, to take hits for him. All of that being said, that is my redesigns of Kamen Rider Ryuki. I had such a blast designing these, probably because I'm only like 2 episodes into this season, but I love the student aesthetic. I love Ryuki's ideas and aesthetics. It is so good. I love the Advent decks. They all have the same number of cards, and they're meant to represent the same things, but they all act so independently. God, I love Ryuki so much, and I'm so looking forward to actually watching the season in full. I still need to finish Blade. I know last time I was like, I'm working on it. I still haven't finished Blade. Let me know what other Kamen Rider seasons you would like me to do. If you want me to revisit a season, happily do that. If you want to see me redesign other things, I've been definitely broadening my horizons. But yeah, I wish you all a happy new year, and have a lovely day.